Tonight, you ask a machine to finish your sentence. It does. And for a moment, you feel understood. But that feeling is not new. It is ancient. And the pattern behind it is older than language itself. 40,000 years ago, your ancestor pressed a hand against a cave wall in southern France. They blew pigment around it. They left a mark. Not to decorate. To externalize something inside their mind and fix it to the world outside their skull. That was the first outsourcing. And your species has never stopped. Every tool ever built followed the same template. Take something the brain does. Move it outside the body. Let the world carry the weight. The cave wall remembered the hand. The clay tablet remembered the debt. The calculator remembered the arithmetic. And now ChatGPT remembers the answer before you finish forming the question. This is not a technology story. It is a human pattern. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The philosopher Andy Clark spent decades studying what he called the extended mind. The argument was radical and obvious at the same time. The mind does not stop at the skull. It bleeds outward into tools, notebooks, and machines. When you use a tool to think, the tool becomes part of your cognitive system. Your brain was always a leaky organ looking for somewhere to overflow. Writing appeared around 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Not to tell stories. The first written records were inventory lists, grain counts, cattle tallies. Writing was a memory machine for minds that could not hold enough numbers. The tablet did not replace the merchant's brain. It extended it. Sound familiar? In 1956, mathematicians gathered at Dartmouth College. John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, and Claude Shannon asked whether a machine could think. They did not know what thinking was, but they believed intelligence could be separated from biology and written as rules. That workshop planted the seed of artificial intelligence. The dream was the same dream as the Mesopotamian scribe. Offload cognition. Let the machine carry the weight. But there was a problem they did not anticipate. The moment you offload something, you start to lose the muscle that used to do it. Psychologists call this cognitive offloading. Research by Betsy Sparrow at Columbia showed something quietly alarming. When people expect a machine to remember for them, they remember less accurately themselves. Not because they are lazy, because the brain is efficient. It stops storing what the environment already holds. It trusts the system. And in trusting the system, it stops practicing. Then came ELIZA. In 1966, Joseph Weizenbaum at MIT built a program that parsed sentences and reflected them back as questions. No understanding, no emotion, pure pattern matching. But people talked to ELIZA as though it understood them. Weizenbaum's own secretary asked him to leave the room so she could speak to it privately. He had built a mirror, not a mind. And humans projected a mind into the mirror anyway. That instinct is ancient. Your brain evolved to detect agency everywhere. It finds a face in a cloud. It hears a predator in the wind. And now it fires every time a machine speaks in sentences that feel personal. Alan Turing understood this vulnerability in 1950. He proposed the imitation game. Not to ask whether a machine could think, but to ask whether a machine could make you believe it was thinking. The test was never about machine intelligence, it was about human perception. When you ask ChatGPT a question today, it does not retrieve truth. It predicts the most likely word sequence based on patterns in human text. And here is the strange part. So does your brain. You fill in gaps. You predict. You assume. The boundary between what the machine does and what your mind does is less solid than it feels. Here is the twist. Every time AI gets better at that layer, it does not simply replace human thinking. It reveals which parts of human thinking were already running on autopilot, already outsourced to habit and shortcut. AI does not expose weakness. It exposes where the mind was already looking for somewhere to overflow. The cave painter did not lose their hand when they pressed it to the wall. They gained a record. The scribe did not lose their mind when they wrote in clay. They gained reach. And you, typing your question into a machine that answers in milliseconds, are doing exactly what your species has always done. The question is not whether the machine is becoming more like you. The question is what you are quietly, efficiently, stopping to practice. Tonight, you asked a machine to finish your sentence. It did. Now ask yourself what you were about to say before it answered.